Thanks, John. Thanks for having me on. Hi, Bianca. How are you?
Hi, Congressman.
One of the great points we talked about this in a previous segment with a panel, and one of our panelists, Kelly Sadler, she mentioned that things like this only further incentivize illegal immigration when people in other countries, they've got tents, air conditioning, paid laundry, international phone calls. Perfect. This is what I need to get set up in the United States. So that impacts border towns in Texas and Arizona. So just give us your impression of this and what you think about Mayor Eric Adams in this plan.
Well, John, first and foremost, we should, talk truth to the American people. These are not asylum seekers. 99.9% of these folks are economic migrants. They are looking for a better life, and I feel for them. But there are billions of people that would love to come to this country. And so what we need to do is secure our border. And we don't know a lot of the time who these people are. So there were, in April, believe it or not, 234,000 illegal border crossers. That was the worst month we'd ever had in history. It was 1,258% worse than the last April President Trump was in office. Only to be eclipsed by May, which was 241,000 illegal border crossers, which was 930% worse than the last May President Trump was in office. So Joe Biden has abdicated his responsibility. This is a gross dereliction of duty. And this is not only a crisis, John, it is a catastrophe.
The numbers are, troubling, and I agree. I mean, we all have compassion for people. We want them to have a roof over their heads if they're here, but there'll be a lot of Americans sleeping on the street in New York City tonight and a lot of other cities. And also, because you're in Texas, Congressman, the New York Post broke this story about the White House. Biden allegedly pressured the Democratic mayor in your state, El Paso, don't declare a state of emergency. Well, we know that's where all the people are crossing. So there you have El Paso kind of muzzled. And then you have New York saying, we want funding, we want funding. So politics over safety, some may say.
No, that's exactly it. I mean, if this report is true that the White House asked El Paso not to declare a migrant emergency, then this is another example of Joe Biden prioritizing political agendas over protecting Americans. And something else, Bianca, nobody ever talks about are the 3.8 million people in this world that are trying to get to this country legally, waiting in line patiently. Average wait is 9 years. Some literally die waiting to come to this country. And these are exactly the kind of folks that we want to come here. They're respecting the laws and the rules of the country that they want to become a part of.
Our other panelist, his name is Mike Gatto. He's a former California assemblyman, and he said, the real solution here would be comprehensive immigration reform. And we pushed back and said, no one on the Republican side is going to reach across the aisle to Democrats when Democrats are so unwilling to even talk about securing the border. I mean, Congressman, I know you would like to work on this issue. You want to stop the illegal immigration and, make it easier for people to immigrate here legally through the right way and clear out that backlog of folks you talked about. But, what do you think about Democrats who say, we just should do comprehensive immigration reform and give amnesty to a bunch of people, because that's what they want to do?
Well, that's what the code is. Comprehensive immigration reform for Democrats means asylum with a continued open and porous border. And that's something that the American people do not deserve. And we need to pray. If you're not safe, then you're not free. Venezuela right now is flushing their prisoners and their prisons, and they're coming up to this country, and Joe Biden is welcoming them in. We need a merit-based immigration policy where we get rid of that silly lottery where you just randomly get selected for a green card. We want to take the world's best. And yes, I would love to see folks coming here, making it easier for people to come here legally, but we've got to secure the border once and for all in order for that to happen.
Yeah, and the numbers are just, as you mentioned, there's too many. We don't know who they are. So I think that first, this is a national security issue. You talked about dereliction of duty, possibly, why isn't Mayorkas looking at, being kicked out? But this is also a huge national security issue, and the fentanyl, Congressman, coming across the border.
No, well, yeah, our office is going to write articles of impeachment on Alejandro Mayorkas come November 9th. I think that he's going to resign before we haul him in front of the Oversight Committee, because what he has done is indefensible. There are 107,000 opioid overdose deaths in the United States last year. This is asymmetrical warfare. Most of this fentanyl is produced in China, and then it's ferried through Mexico. During World War II, we lost approximately 400,000 service members. That's about 300 a day. We're losing about 290 a day to opioid overdoses. And it's mostly made with from our greatest global competitor, which is China. So we need to address this. So why is Joe Biden not talking about this national crisis?
It is a great question, and one we may never get an answer to unless you guys take back control of Congress and actually hold those hearings like the one you were talking about with Alejandro Mayorkas, possible impeachment. We've heard this from other members of Congress, too. Pat, Fallon from Texas, great to see you, sir. Thanks so much.
Thanks, John. Bianca, God bless.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take you live to Ukraine in just a little bit for the latest reaction to Vladimir Putin's new